My name is Rosemary Kirika, a born-again Christian. Over the years, I've been in business and I've also been in church leadership. I am a family person. I'm married to a Mr. James Kirika and we are blessed with children. And currently, I'm the Deputy Governor of Kiambu County. Other than that, I also have another name which is patented. I could call it my business name. I am called by the name Bi-Talanta, and this is a name that was registered recently, but it has its own history. Way back in the year 2003-2004, I was a Mothers Union Development Coordinator for the women of ACK Diocese of Thika. And at that time, I was working with women and we were mobilizing funds to construct a commercial building called the Talents House. And we did such a good job until the women started calling me Mama Talents. So when I registered Rosemary Kirika Foundation, I realized that part of the work that the foundation was going to do was talent development. So I decided to patent the name. I decided to just develop that name because it had already been given to me. So I call myself Bi-Talanta. So anytime I'll be working on the foundation activities, they'll be referring to me as Bi-Talanta. Probably I can also talk a little bit about my education. I started my school in a primary school called Kiriko Primary School in Gatudu North sub-county. And then I moved to another school called Kamwangi, Chania Ward, and also to another primary school called Mudhurubi in Gatundu South. So I went to 3 primary schools, but a story for another day why I had to go to 3 different primary schools. When I finished my primary school, I proceeded to Mary Hill High School, and after Form 4, I joined Baringo High School, where I was doing what they call MBC, mathematics, biology, and chemistry, and I performed well in Form 6. I joined Kenyatta University, where I did BSc, Bachelor of Science, in Botany and Zoology. Botany and Zoology simply means animals and plants. And after that, I got married. And after many years, I went back to school at USIU, where I did my master's degree in that is Master of Business Administration in Strategic Management. So that is my academic life. I am married to Mr. James Kirika. I joined Mr. James Kirika many years ago, but we have a blended family. That means I found him with the children because unfortunately his wife had passed on. So when I joined him, I had 3 children, and I also got my own 3 children, so a family of 6 children. Although unfortunately my firstborn passed on sometime back in the year 2019. Those are things of God. Yeah, so we've been into business over the years. We do animal feeds manufacturing business in Thika in a company called Chania Feeds Manufacturers Limited. And other than that, we are also commercial poultry farmers. We have a big poultry farm in Gatudu North. Yeah, so those are our 2 businesses. Rosemary Kirika Foundation is a non-profit organization that we registered last year, that is the year 2023 in November. And this is an organization that will be involved in empowering family members to use their talents and entrepreneurship as an incentive against alcoholism and drug abuse. Yeah, so we are going to use, or we are using, a preventive approach and we are also having families as our target. It's the smallest unit in the society, so we are going to target the families, and we are also going to use preventive approach initiatives. Yeah, so why preventive? We find that prevention is better than cure. And we realize that we have a lot of people and a lot of stakeholders who are doing the curative part. And in order for us to win the war against alcoholism and drug abuse as a nation, we need to have a comprehensive approach. That means we need to have some stakeholders who are doing the preventive part. This means people who are concerned about saving the persons before they get into alcoholism and drug abuse. And as I've said, we also need to have people or stakeholders who are concerned about the curative part of it. And I'm glad we have people like Her Excellency, Pastor Dr. Dorcas Rigathi, who is doing the curative part. Those who are concerned about this part of control, they identify the victims and they take them for rehabilitation, where they do therapy and treatment. And then we also need to have people who are also concerned about after treatment. So what happens to these people who have already been healed? So I'm saying that for us to win the war, we need a comprehensive approach. That means preventive approach, curative approach, and also creating jobs for those that have been healed. So for us at Rose Kirika Foundation, we have chosen to do the preventive part, and this means we are going to encourage and to train people to identify themselves. In fact, we are going to have 3 departments in our organization. The first department will be called talent development, and this will be targeting mainly the youths, where we are going to be taking them through the journey of self-discovery, the journey of talent development. Then we take them through the process of innovation, so that people are able to think about themselves inwardly, to identify their God-given strengths, because everyone has a strength, everyone has a talent, a skill that comes naturally to them. So it is taking these people through a process of analyzing themselves inwardly and identifying their natural strengths. It's, for example, it is like asking you, what are you able to achieve naturally without struggle? What do you excel in? What are your interests? What ideas do you have? You know, discovering yourself. What strengths do you have? So how can you develop your natural strengths into a talent? And then how can you combine that with the knowledge that you have and your experiences, and in a creative manner, turn that into a business idea. And once you get into the business, how can you also grow your business into an industry? So we are saying at the Rose Kirika Foundation, we are going to be involved in what you call the creative economy. We are going to participate in developing our economy through the creative industry. And we know that the creative industry is very wide, because in creative industry we have arts, and we know that art is also divided into performing art, things like drama, singing, entertainment, and there is also the visual art, things to do with drawing, writing, literature. And in creative industry, we also have design. You can have things like graphic design, fabric design, software development. All the design, it is in creativity, and many other strengths in the creative industry. The second department is going to be entrepreneurship, and this one is going to be targeting the parents. So we are going to be asking ourselves, how can we empower the parents so that they have income to support their families. And one of the things that we are going to be asking people, or what I've been asking myself, is how can people be able to afford things like school fees, food, health care? How can they sort their own issues? How can they participate in developing the economy? How can all of us join hands, to solve our common problem as Kenyans? And then that department is going to be alcoholism, alcohol and the drug abuse awareness department. This is where we are also going to target the young people also, right from the primary school, secondary school, because we need to sensitize them on the dangers of using alcohol, the dangers of using drugs.
Ensure that you have good attributes, qualities, and virtues as a person. These may include attributes such as humility, honesty, and trustworthiness. Be a person of good character.
A lot of our young people are not aware of the damage that alcohol and substance use causes to their brains, such that they are not able to be themselves anymore, and it affects their academic, their academic life, because they cannot perform well in school. They are going to be absent at work. They cannot perform well. They cannot be productive at work. And this leads to job losses. And people have been complaining that there are no jobs. But how can we prepare our people so that they are employable? So those are the things that we are going to be talking about. And then you may also ask me, why are we targeting the family? There is a long story behind this. Because if you also analyze the way the government does its work in developing the economy, the main focus is the family. Because in my own assessment, the government looks at the family, and the family has the father, it has the mother, and it has the children. And the government knows that the family requires food, it requires education, it requires health care, all these things. So what the government does is to provide an enabling environment so that the family can be able to thrive. And so the government organizes itself into departments and sectors. It thinks about land, then thinks about water, it thinks about agriculture. If you look at all those sectors, they are concerned about food production. Yeah. So when the food is produced, it needs to be taken to the market. So the government thinks about the roads. It has a roads department. And then the food needs to be sold in a market. The government thinks about trade, And then the government knows that this family has children, it has young people. So there is the Department of the Youth and Sports. This one is concerned about talent development. And then the government knows that this family requires health, health care. So there is the Department of Health. And then to manage our resources and our wealth, the government has the Department of Finance. This is where the Treasury comes in, and also the Central Bank of Kenya. So all effort is geared towards the family. And then where we come in is because the government requires a workforce that is competent to work at the government departments to enable the government to perform. So the workforce needs to be competent, and the workforce needs to be sober. And then you find that in the family, some people will go into employment in the public service, that is in the government. Other people will go into employment through the private sector, and others will decide to be self-employed. And I think this is where now we come in, because we are encouraging people to be able to employ themselves, to create jobs for themselves and for others. And this is where we are encouraging people to develop their talents. That is all.